Third positionism is a political ideology that was formed in the immediate aftermath of World War II. It presented itself as a distinct middle ground between capitalism of the Western Bloc and communism of the Eastern Bloc, taking up a third position between them. To be blunt, the ideology pitched itself as the radical centrism of authoritarianism, the idea being that they adopt the far right's reactionary social views and the far left's economic views. Well, at the very least, the far left's economic rhetoric. The precursors of the ideology were the Spenglerists, a right-wing socialist ideology created by Oswald Spengler that served as the precursor to Nazism, National Bolshevists, communists that were like, those Nazis got some pretty nice ideas, and Strasserites, the labor faction of the Nazi Party, though it would later become apparent that as well-intentioned as the ideology's birth was, all that it really served was a simple rebrand for fascism, as after World War II, being a fascist was considered a no-no, so anybody who still wanted to continue fascistic movements had to change things up to stay relevant. While most continued under generic right-wing populist movements, others still wanting to remain sort of esoteric and unique decided to go under the rebrand Third Positionism. This latter group actually got a little bit of a bonus thanks to this rebrand, as the ones who jumped onto calling themselves right-wing populists, they could no longer appeal to leftists. And, of course, as a fascist, you can't appeal to leftists either. But now, you had this new rebrand, new name, now you can appeal to them again. They can't fall for the National Socialism trick anymore. Try something new. Rebrand your ideology so that it is no longer an icky word, ramp up your criticisms of capitalism, don't explain why you're criticizing it, and throw in a couple of Hammer and Sickles and Stalin pictures, and boom, you've successfully red-washed your ideology. Will a majority of the left follow you? Heck no, but you'll get a couple. And if you can't get them to join your party, why don't you get them to join your alliance? As some people, like neo-Nazi author Francis Parker Yockey and Russian philosopher Alexander Dugin, proposed the idea of a red-brown alliance, an electoral alliance between communists and fascists with the goal of defeating their Western opponents, most commonly America and Israel, ignoring the fact that both of these ideologies hate these places for completely different reasons. Heck, some people even went so far as to want to add green to the mix by having Islamists be part of the coalition as well, because again, they had common enemies. Again, ignoring the fact that these three people hate them for completely different reasons. Third positionism had an official rise during the 70s due to the Cold War, leaving people to want to flee to any political outcome that rejected both economic superpowers' ideologies, literally willing to take anything. However, the ideology had very limited actual success because, let's be real, it doesn't take a rocket surgeon to figure out what the ideology's intention is. Any success that they had to be outside of third positionism or Nazbolism or whatever, like Dugin having influence not necessarily related to his ideology, but very much inspired by it. And we always had sort of third positionist figures, but they never really espoused third positionism. They espoused what they espoused, and it just so happens that it is third positionism. An example from America would be good old Lyndon LaRouche, a guy who used to be very much a Trotskyist, but then developed some very far-right social views while still holding on to his socialist economic views, eventually becoming a literal cult leader. But remember when I said earlier that you could tell very clearly what the ideology was espousing from a mile away, despite the fact that they were doing a good job trying to hide it? What if I were to tell you that if they simply just add on a couple of more masks, the ideology would become prominent again? Because lo and behold, that is exactly what has happened. And that's a factor caused by two things. One, the fact that we have gotten a lot doomeristic with our politics. People seeing what is already pre-established not working, so they will turn to literally any other position, like I stated what happened during the Cold War. And the fact that we have started taking our politics a lot less seriously, considering we have people who unironically believe in anarcho-fascism. So we have people who legitimately take these ideas a lot more seriously. As much as we'd like to continue to hold on to the belief that people are obviously not going to fall for this, and yes, obviously someone like you or I might not fall for this, But what about the people who are just getting into politics? The people who haven't gone through their political awakening yet? People who are lost and don't know what to do? And they'll turn to anybody who can figure out their solution. That's exactly how certain people have gotten into positions of power and relevancy. For people who don't know, they will run to whatever solution they think they can find. The next issue of this comes from one level above, the punditry class, particularly through the internet, as one of the things the internet sort of becomes is whatever the mainstream media doesn't like. And it went through its left-wing phase, it went through its right-wing phase, it went through its full-on Nazi phase. Why not have this trend of people who are basically trying to get everybody? Which is a very common thing for very fringe political movements. You can attempt to reach one side or the other, or you can attempt to try and get a little bit of everybody. Now, believe it or not, it's not just going to come from the newcomers or the ill-informed. This will also come from the people who claim to be the most informed, people who already have a long history and should know better than to fall for this. But due to the fact that they are from an extreme orthodoxy, anything that is given to them that strengthens that orthodoxy, ironically, brings them closer to the movement they claim to want to destroy. Again, usually coming from extremely fringe movements rather than the mainstream ones. There are a lot of figures and parties that you can call third positionist, either formally or informally. The aforementioned Dugin, President of Argentina Juan Perón, dictator of Zaire Mobutu Sese Seko, well-known political cultist Lyndon LaRouche, white supremacist turned Marxist-Leninist Matthew Heimbach, and the most recent iteration being the group of online pundits that have dubbed themselves PATSOK, or MAGA Communist, or Mecha Tanky, or whatever. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click that bell to notify when a future video of mine comes out. And if you need some more content from me, you can go to my website, follow me on Twitter, join my Discord, check out my articles in the Independent Political Report, or consider supporting me on Patreon.